Hi all, welcome back. This is another preventive maintenance job. We don't have an issue, but it's recommended to do it. I'm not sure if this is the original water pump or not, but we have a new one here, so we do. So this is an OEM Porsche one. The engine pretty much like that. Also have a new stat, part numbers. There we go, that's the part number for the water pump. And don't know, can you see that? But that's the part number for the stat, and it's a regular stat. I didn't go with a low temp one. Over to the car, well, we have it pretty much sort of prepared. So in service mode, we've got the cover off the engine, really, just to let a little bit more light in. Access is not really great on these, but let's see if we can get some video here to show you where everything is located. So down here we have, well, first of all, we've got to take off the carpet that's covering here, the sound deadening insulation. Then there's another cover here to get into the serpentine belt. I changed this a little while back. I didn't do the pump. It's a pretty straightforward thing. It's just a case of loosening the tensioner here with a large socket. The belt pops off. The pump is actually the last pulley down there, so it's held on by several bolts mounted all around. It'll be interesting to see. I suspect this might be the original pump. I'm not too sure. I have no records of it being changed in the maintenance, so I figured it's as good a time to do it as any now when I'm doing a coolant flush, and that will sort that out. So I'll get the car up in the air, give you a view from underneath. Okay, so the car is up in the air. I'll take you in a minute, show you where the pump is, the stat, the pipes that have to come off. I just wanted to show you this first. So this gadget here will actually be our friend to remove the spring clamps, which are OEM on the car. So I believe, or I'm kind of thinking, that this may be the original pump. It may not have been changed, but we will know when we get off because of the way the gasket is fitted. So under the car here now, we can see this here is the output of the water pump. This here is the stat housing. So this pipe has to come off, it feeds up front. This one has to come off as well. And this side here will also be coming off. This here is the drain plug. So I'm going to stick a bucket underneath, crack that, and then I'm going to get up and I'm going to open the coolant tank. Hopefully that will release some pressure and it'll start to drain, and then it'll probably get very messy as we start to deal with these hoses. They don't look... Small update, we have the hoses off. So this is a messy job. We also have the thermostat out. I don't know if I'll be able to get in there to see it, but there's the housing. I'll try and zoom in on it. Don't know if I can. I can't. So it's out, and it looks like it might be the original. Let me just adjust the light on the camera so you can see it. So there it is. Okay, so the pump is out. I suspect it's the real one, and I'll show you why in a moment. It's because of the gasket on the actual car. It's actually in pretty good condition. This is the old one, in case it wasn't obvious. This is the new one, pretty much identical. This guy, very valuable, 10mm small compact socket, little extension onto a tiny ratchet. It's very tight down in one of the housings to get it out. And you'll also notice that two of these are longer. These two long ones actually go through these two here. So important to keep an eye on that. On the other side, okay, so back underneath the car, this is going to be a little bit shaky, and I'll probably come at it from the top when I move the car around after I clean it off. But I don't know if you can see it. Here's where the stat was, and there is where the pump was. Now this gasket is still attached to the cooling manifold. When Porsche assemble the block or the engine, it's all one gasket, so this will have to be broken. Okay, so I don't know how steady I'll be able to hold this, but this is why I suspect that the water pump was never changed. This gasket here is still attached, so that there is the cooling manifold. When the engine is assembled, the gasket is one continuous piece, goes into that. I'll show you the new gasket, which I'm going to have to snip. So Porsche say to basically snip this one out because there's 3 tabs, but I have no idea how you're going to be able to do that. Hopefully by just, you know, working it back and forth, it'll just fatigue and break, and then I can clean the faces down, which don't look too bad, to be honest. So this car I think is 120,000 kilometers on it, and the original water pump, and no evidence of any real wear or tear or damage, which is I suppose a result. But at 70 years old this year, it's time to change it. Okay, that's the gasket. That was easier than I thought. I did manage to get in with this little snips, quite a neat little thing, and managed to snip here, here and here. So here's the new one. As you can see, this is the actual coolant manifold gasket. So when the engine is assembled, it's all one piece that goes in. So the new gasket comes as one, but I'll just snip it here, here and reassemble it. And gasket is snipped, and I thought I'd show you this because it might help, or maybe not. These little lugs or inserts that are here are for the longer bolts. I slipped it on. Now it seemed quite tight, but actually it works because it actually holds the gasket in place. And it's less likely, I suppose, to get skewed or pinched. It's held square. It's like an alignment for it. You might notice here, see these here, there's also some tabs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread this bolt through here, and the threads will actually catch those tabs, hopefully, and stop it slipping and move. When I was reading up about coolant and changing it, one of the reasons that was given was due to the fact that it can become conductive and obviously start to cause internal corrosion. One of the tests was to hook a ground up to the engine block chassis somewhere and then put the positive into the coolant tank. So that's what we have done here. I have no idea what's going to happen. But it'll be interesting to see if we see a surge when I start up, because that should be peak current draw when the starter kicks in, and if there's going to be a spike, it should be then. So let's see what happens. So I think we had a jump there, which is interesting. Another thing I did was I just checked the pH value of the coolant that's in there. So just for reference. Where's it gone? Here we have green. Colors aren't quite coming out very well, but it looks to be about neutral, maybe 8. So I'd say that's okay. I don't think we've anything to worry about, but we're going to change it anyway, just because we can. The system's been flushed, refilled, a new coolant in. So I'm going to run the same test to start. It's not quite cold, but it's not warm either. So we're at 12.5 millivolts there. So let's see what happens when it starts, runs, does actually change in the coolant, reduce the current flow voltage in the actual system. Be interesting. So just a very quick video for how this test was actually set up. We dropped the positive lead into the coolant tank. Probably won't focus down there, it's not bright enough. And we clamped the negative lead there, grounded chassis, that's tight. So that's what we're using for our positive and negative locations.